Hi friends, welcome to my knowledge. And today we are going to discuss about an important topic for the fisheries and marine biology students, and also for UPSC exams. And the topic is plankton. The term plankton is derived from the Greek word for drifter or wanderers. They are small producers and consumers that drift with the water current. The plankton is the productive base of both the marine and freshwater ecosystem. And some plankton drift in this way throughout the entire life cycle. And it is a collective name for all organisms, including certain algae, bacteria, protozoan, crustaceans, mollusks, and coelant race, as well as a representative from almost every other phylum of animals. And they are non-motile or too small to swim against the water current. Planktons are typically microscopic organisms with length of less than 1 inch. But they also include large species such as crustaceans and jellyfish. And the scientists categorize this plankton in a variety of ways, including on the basis of the size, type, and the time spent drifting. On the basis of the size, the plankton are classified into femtoplankton, zero point 0.2 micrometer, example virus, picoplankton, 0.2 to 2 micrometer, autotrophic prokaryotes, autotrophic eukaryotes, heterotrophic bacteria, and archaea are examples. The next one is the nanoplankton, 2 to 20 micrometer. They are autotrophic and heterotrophic flagellates, ciliates, small diatoms, and dinoflagellates. Microplankton, 20 to 200 μm. Example copepod nopli, ciliates, diatoms, and dinoflagellates. Next one is mesoplankton, 0.2 to 2 millimeter. Example copepods. And the last one is the macroplankton, which is greater than 2 mm. Example copepod, krill, and gelatinous plankton. Example jellyfish. Try to memorize this table because it is very helpful for your exams and for also for further future research and all. And some organisms are classified as plankton when they are young, but they are eventually grow larger enough to swim against the water current. And which is the next classification? The plankton is classified on the basis of how much time they spend in the that organism spend their life in the plankton community. On the basis of that, it is classified into two types. One is holoplankton, and the other one is the meroplankton. Holoplankton means if that particular organism spend their entire life cycle as a member of the plankton community. Examples are blue-green algae, diatoms, dinoflagellates, jelly, comb jellies, copepods, amphipods, etc. are examples for this holoplankton. And next one is the meroplankton. They are aquatic organisms that spend the first part of their life, means their larval stage, as a plankton. And after their growth and they get out of that plankton community as free swimmers. Examples are soya, which is a larvae of the crab, and fish larvae. And when the fish grow up, and after that they left the plankton community. And this is also very important on the basis of how much time they spend as a organism spend their life in the plankton community. It's classified into holoplankton and meroplankton. And this is the most important classification or the fundamental classification which divide the plankton into two. Phytoplankton, plants, and the zooplankton, they are the animals. And today only we are discussing the phytoplankton community and some examples of important phytoplankton groups. phytoplankton. The phytoplankton produce more than half of the yearly oxygen in our planet. The phytoplankton refers to a group of planktonic unicellular algae that make up the majority of the plants in the ocean. Although some phytoplankton can be caught in fine mesh nets, and many of them are too tiny. Filtering or centrifuging of large amount of seawater are the only ways to collect these small plants. And for the collection or the sampling of this phytoplankton, usually use a plankton net with a mesh size of 60 micrometer. And also and another method is by filtering large amount of seawater or centrifuging. Phytoplanktons are also known as microalgae. The phytoplankton, on the other hand, can be found throughout the lit environment, including beneath the polar ice sheets. And their role in the marine food web is of essential importance. The light intensity or the sunlight is an important factor which affects the phytoplankton growth, and which is very much helpful for the photosynthesis of this phytoplankton. And the nutrient availability is also important factor for the growth and sustenance of this phytoplankton. And their role in the marine food web is of essential importance because they are the primary producers in the ocean. Approximately 5,000 species of phytoplankton have been described, and new species are continually being added to this total. But and here only we are discussing about some important groups. The first one is a diatoms. Diatoms belong to a class of algae called the Basilaria. The diatoms are unicellular with cell size ranging from about 2 micrometer to 1000 micrometer. And some species form larger chains or others form aggregate. There are some chain forming diatoms and also aggregate or mass forming diatoms. And these are some examples, and this is an image I took from the a publication, Environmental Drivers of Population Variability in Colony Forming Marine Diatoms. And in this picture, from A to D, it's a ketocirrhosis species, and E is Dityllum brightbelly species, and F is the Bacteriostrum species, and the last one is the Thalassonema. G is Thalassonema species. And one specialty of this diatom is the each and every species has an external skeleton, which is known as the frustules. And these diatoms are actually looks like armored or shell-like what you call, which is made up of silica. And this frustule is made up of silica. The frustule is typically shaped into spine patterns that are unique to each species, and the diatoms is very diverse. And this spine-like structure is actually very unique for each species. This is the image of diatoms, and the right side, which is a same image of Cosinodiscus, the frustule of this Cosinodiscus, and you can see that spines and all. The sedimented frustules have formed seafloor deposits called the diatomaceous oozes. After the death of this diatom, these frustules deposited into the sea bottom, and as a result, diatomaceous ooze, which is siliceous ooze, because the frustule is made up of silica, and as a result, the deposited frustules will result in the formation of siliceous ooze. And the diatoms are classified into two types on the basis of the shape. One is the pinnate diatom, and the other one is the centric diatom. The pinnate diatom is these diatoms have an elongated shape. And in centric diatoms, the centric diatoms have valves that are arranged radially or concentrically around a point. And the most common method of reproduction in diatom is asexual division. And in diatoms, the method of reproduction is asexual division. And sexual division is also present when diatom reaches a certain critical minimal size. It undergoes sexual reproduction also. And this, because of this asexual reproduction, and which results in the very rapid population growth under optimal conditions. And some diatoms, especially neretic species that live in shallow water, produce the resting spores. And these heavy spores actually sink into the bottom and remain dormant until favorable situations. And during unfavorable condition, these diatoms produce resting spores. And when a favorable condition came, it will produce normal planktonic cells, or these spores transformed into a normal planktonic cell. Actually, the study related to this diatom, the spores and cyst of this diatom is a good research topic. Next one is dinoflagellate. Dinoflagellates are the plankton group with the high abundance. And dinoflagellates are a type of algae in the Pyrophyceae family. The majority of these unicellular algae exist alone. Only some species form chains. Dinoflagellates have two flagella. And different dinoflagellate species use different energy sources. So some dinoflagellates are strictly autotrophic in nature, and they're building organic materials and obtaining all their energy from photosynthesis. And some other species carry a heterotrophic production, and actually they meet their energy needs by feeding on phytoplankton or small zooplankton. And indeed, 50% of dinoflagellates are strictly heterotrophic, and then they actually lack chloroplasts, and that are incapable of carrying photosynthesis. And some dinoflagellates, are mixotrophic in nature. That is, they are capable of autotrophic as well as the heterotrophic production. The dinoflagellates are classified into thecate species, and which have theca, which is a relatively thick cellulose cell wall. Like the frustules in the diatoms, in the dinoflagellates, they form the thick cellulose cell wall called the theca. On the basis of presence and absence of this theca, the dinoflagellates also classified. Thecate species and naked species are there. The dinoflagellates are also, classified into two families, Desmophyceae and Dinophyceae. The cell wall is made up of two longitudinal walls that separate during asexual division to form two equal-sized new cells. Sexual in the method of reproduction in dinoflagellates is asexual reproduction, and also sexual reproduction also occur in at least some species of dinoflagellates. Prorocentrum is a common planktonic genus belonging to the Desmophyceae, and the majority of planktonic dinoflagellate species form the Dinophyceae. A vast majority of these are thecate species, and these are some of the example of these thecate species: Serratium, Protoperidinium, Corneolax, and the Dinophyces. And the Gymnodinium is a common naked form belonging to the Dinophyceae. These are the images of species. First one is Serratium, second one Protoperidinium, third one goniolax, and the fourth one is dinophysi. And this is gymnodinium. The dinoflagellates are frequently abundant in the summer and autumn season, and sexual reproduction is also observed in at least some dinoflagellate species, and I already mentioned. And here also, like the diatoms, they form dormant cysts with the thick walls. The cysts germinate to produce swimming cells when triggered by the environmental changes. And under favorable environmental factors uh, uh, in the environment, they are transformed into planktonic cells. Like that I mentioned in about the diatoms. Next one is the coccolithophores. And they are the unicellular phytoplankton, that is a component, unicellular phytoplankton, that is a component of the nanoplankton. Nanoplankton, which is they are smaller than 20 micrometer. The external shell of this coccolithophore is made up of a large number of calcareous plates known as the coccolithophore. In diatoms, their external shell is actually made up of silica, and here in coccolithophore, the shell is made up of, the external shell is made up of calcareous plates. In the case of diatoms, they form siliceous ooze, and here this coccolithophore, the death of this coccolithophore results in the formation of calcareous ooze. And these species can be identified by the shape and arrangement of the coccoliths. Coccoliths build up in bottom sediment, and the primary component of the uplifted sediment known as chalk. And one example of the famous Dover's White Cliff, or the White Cliff of Dover. In fact, this White Cliff of Dover contain fossilized remaining of this coccolithophores. Life histories in this group are complex and may include a variety of stages. And this is the White Cliff of Dover in England. And actually, they are made up of this. I already mentioned that fossilized coccolithophores are present. Actually, after the death of this coccolithophore, they gradually sink to the very bottom and lay there on the seafloor. And then over 100 of died and stocked up. And as a result, due to the intense pressure of the seawater and the calcium carbonate contained in the coccolithophore compress and form this like structure like this. And due to the these plate tectonic activities, this particular structure was under the ocean, and it is uplifted or raised up to the up, and as a result, this White Cliff of Dover formed. Coccolithophores can be found in both the Nearctic and oceanic waters. Nearctic means coastal or a near shore region, near shore environment of called the or the coastal waters. And the rest of the ocean beyond the continental shelf are called the oceanic waters. Nearctic is the coastal waters. The majority of species can be found in the warmer seas. And some species reach their peak abundance at the depth of around 100 meter in clear water. Emiliana huxley is the most common coccolithophorid in the sea. Actually, due to this calcareous structure, which is very delicate, the culturing of this coccolithophore is very difficult. And this is Emiliana huxley. It is actually in the like a soccer shape, and these are the coccolith plates of Emiliana huxley. This is calcareous. These are the calcareous plates. And in the next class, we will discuss about the zooplankton. And these tables and images are very much helpful for your exams and also for research also. And bye from now. And please do support and try to subscribe. Thank you very much.